Hello, good evening. It is Saturday night. It is long past time that we started this, but we've had Saturday night issues with technology, Skype mainly. But yeah, we are here tonight and we're going to be doing Time Warrior. And with me, of course, is Chris. Say hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris. Nice T-shirt, by the way. I have one too.
Yeah. Mine's this is a proper age-old Iron Maiden one. Though. This is this has got to be 25 years old, man. Jesus Christ. Um, I put it on because I was actually doing a bit of work in the attic, and I thought, oh, I'll chuck some in on that. I don't want to put any new clothes on, and I thought, check it. In. I haven't worn this for a while, so I thought, stick it on, and it just felt good, so I thought I'll keep it.
Oh,
But no,
we can always talk about how good their latest album is if the Time Warrior don't work out.
yeah, no, it will work out. I promise you, it'll work out. Yeah, yeah. I mean, they are doing well. You got to love Maiden. Are we here? We are here on StreamYard because
On
screw
streaming.
Skype. The language that's been coming out of me has been absolutely apocalyptic. That's the only way I can describe it. A rancid cornucopia of just bad language due to one piece of crap software that keeps coming up the system. But here we are. Anyway, we are here. We are live, and we are getting ready to do the Time Warrior. It's a four-parter.
Lucky that, really.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
I've run out of coffee already.
I can only apologize for it. I mean, but the things that just go on, man, it's just they don't make things easy for themselves, man. So, but anyway, how's your Saturday night doing?
It's great. I'm in a completely different room. If I've got a bit of an echo to my voice, it's that I haven't finished doing the furniture yet. I rushed today to get this computer set up with 3 screens so we could do this. And I thought on the third screen I can have the YouTube video pulled so I can see the comments, and I
Yeah.
can see them in StreamYard now, so I don't need it.
Well, you got an extra screen. Anyway, yes, we are going to be doing the Time Warrior. As I said, four-parter. What do you know of Time Warrior, Chris?
I know that it's the introduction to the best ever Doctor Who companion.
K9? He's not in this.
I nearly swore then. Yeah, it's the first story with Sarah Jane Smith in it, and
It is, yeah.
she is my favourite companion, as we've discovered over watching these. Is this the first Sontaran story?
Yep. It's the first time we get to see the Sontarans. First introduction of Sarah Jane Smith,
And it's sort of set in the past, some of it.
it's so the episode itself has a couple of problems with the story. Just a few small little logic holes, I guess. But it's to me, this is what happens if you did Robot of Sherwood correctly. It's pretty much this is what the episode that I point to and go, that's why I don't like Robot of Sherwood, because this does it so much better.
Yeah, I didn't like Robot of Sherwood because it was shit.
It was crap. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant to say crap. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I'm okay with it tonight. I don't care tonight. After everything I've gone through, that's swearing is the least of my worries. Yeah, and we got a new title sequence. You are quite correct there, Lucosa. Yes, we do get a new title sequence. It's the first introduction of the slit scan sort of time tunnel that we get with John Pertwee's Doctor. So that's pretty good as well. What else is there? I mean, there's a lot of things going on in this episode. I think it's an interesting idea to sort of bring the Time Warrior in, the Sontaran into history. I'll say this about this story, right? It's 4 parts, and when you first start watching it, it kind of feels like a BBC play. It doesn't even feel like a TV show. It feels like play of the week, which is kind of a weird thing because the direction feels very flat. But then it just changes course. It just changes, and you can almost feel like sort of maybe they were just finding their feet in the first episode, and then after that, then they kind of just, and towards sort of the end of the first episode, really, it kind of gathers speed, and then it doesn't slow down. It just keeps going and going, and I think it's and this episode would easily be my top three Pertwee stories. I mean, it's a good one. Yeah, it's a cracker of a story. I think it's good because it doesn't look. It suffers with the 1970s right in. Okay, so you know instantly that there are things that are going to be in it that you just can't escape. Okay, you know that there's going to be mind control in it. You know there's going to be an alien threat in it. You know that the you can have the Doctor's companion at one point be captured in it. It's going to suffer with those tropes. It does it, but it also kind of it almost turns it on its head as well. So that it's like because even the people helping the alien aren't on the alien side. Even the person that's captured the companion isn't necessarily there for. I mean, I wouldn't say they're not there for malicious reasons, but at least they are sort of a bit more open-minded to the fact that it's this person's not against them, I guess. So there's all those things that you typically get. The mind control part of it's technically hypnosis, I suppose, but it's not infallible. So there are those things to it whereby, it's looking at what they've kind of already done several times before and gone, actually, let's call this out. So that's kind of good. And I would say Lynx in this, who's the Sontaran, he's kind of the mold setter for what we in the current series get as Sontarans. I think that they've very much gone back to what, because the Sontarans kind of took a little bit of a turn for the worst as the 70s rolled out and the 80s, and then I think what they did now with Modern Who was to actually go right the way back to Lynx and use him as the mold. So I think that it kind of does set the mold here. The makeup for Lynx, you have to make your own mind up on that. That's it. I'm not going to say it's bad. It's just I think the actor's bringing a lot to it as opposed to the makeup itself. So that's something. And you're gonna get the other thing you're gonna get in this story, by the way, is the BBC visual effects department taking the time off, I guess, because what passes for visual effects in this is it's not good.
Something to look forward to.
It's basically blobs of light on a screen. It's not really, you don't get sort of it's nothing. I would say there are a couple of shots where it's literally sort of wow, they didn't really try there. But I mean, there's no. I don't think there's any sort of visual effect shot in it that makes you cringe. There might be one. No, there might be one. I'll take that back. I instantly, as I said it, I took it back. But I think it's a good story. I think that it's so again, many great characters in this. Lynx, Iron Gron, yeah, Blood Axe, yeah. Oh, here's a nice little one for you as well. So speaking of people that are in this, so Lady Gaga's friend June Brown is in this. Who played, as we all know, plays Dot Cotton in EastEnders. So she's currently 94, but still going. She makes an entrance in this, and Boba Fett is in this. Jeremy Bulloch, who plays, I think he plays Hal, is this blonde Robin Hood-esque type character, and so we get another Star Wars crossover. Lucosa just said, as is Boba Fett, yes. Yeah. So that's another one. And from the Pertwee era as well. So we've got another Star Wars cross. Yeah, there's a couple of things to look forward to. I think in this, we got a couple of good performances. It is a BBC period drama type thing. The sets aren't the greatest, and the costumes aren't really that brilliant, and the wigs are atrocious. But aside from that,
Yeah, apart from all of that,
I would say it's weird. I don't know why, right? But the costumes actually get better further into the story. I think when you start watching it, like the sets are lit in a way whereby you can kind of see it's like painted wood, and you're going, oh, that's a bit ropey. But I don't know whether or not you get used to it or it's just lit better later on. But it's the same then with the costumes because the costumes are all like really pristine, like they've off a coat hanger. And then later on, it's just like, oh no, that costume actually does work. Iron Grod's costume, for example, is just like it's just all sort of it's like it's been divided into half and just like sort of bolted together, and then it's all sort of grubbied up, and it actually it looks much better later on. And I don't know whether or not that's just because the costume itself was just got grubbied, but when you see it at the start, it's kind of everybody's kind of pristine, and it's for something that's set in the Middle Ages, you're kind of thinking, I don't think that I would have gone with clean and pressed. But yeah, it's an interesting. I think there are a couple of logic holes in the story that we can get to later on. Um, but I think it's a ride. So it's the start of Series 11. So I'm gonna cue this up ready if you are ready to go. I don't know what this is. By the way, I don't know what this is gonna do over StreamYard. So I don't know if this is gonna play off. I have no idea. I'm just taking a guess as to what's gonna happen. It might play the audio. It might not. Here we go. I'm going to press play for the Time Warrior Part 1 starting now. Oh, I've got BritBox, Ting, presented by BBC, and diddly 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 diddly. That's a good looking opener.
yeah.
It really is. That slit scan is very, very good. Well, it's a practical effect, so it doesn't really age. As it looks there is how it looks and how it's going to keep looking forever. Yeah, blinky light going across the screen.
It's a bit ungrateful, isn't it?
That guy sitting by the fireplace just took a face full.
I'm surprised they didn't see that outside the window and point and laugh, to be honest.
I mean, and they could have probably done that practically. There's nothing that they saw there that couldn't have been done on set. I do find it a bit peculiar. They do this sort of BBC sort of pseudo Shakespearean talk.
It kind of fits in with the era it was made, really. You look at the TV plays and
Yeah,
period dramas at the time.
but they're not actually saying anything in Shakespearean tongue.
No.
They just it's like they're all Yoda conversing.
Yeah.
Ye
Yeah,
be need be this and that.
I'm waiting for Kenneth Connor to come and I go, whoa.
They could have been a bit sharper on the editing there. There was a bit of a sort of him standing there holding it for a bit while he vanished. They could have just tightened up on that edit. I'm just curious as to whether or not he's actually wearing the mask under that.
Well, it looked like he might be behind the eyepieces or like the eye slits.
Hmm. By the way, the musical score in this is pretty good. King. He could be king. I like the sort of drill pattern that they've got on the front of the helmet there, which has sort of disappeared.
Yeah.
I kind of like it. It's like a sort of another little bit of detail. I know maybe it was just there for practical reasons, but the fact that it had that pattern anyway, I think it's something I would still integrate. That's, by the way, the most 70s I've ever seen the brig look.
Yeah.
His hair's gotten longer since the last episode. He's got lamb chops on the side of his head now, and the tush as well. Mm-hmm.
It's amusing that they were trying to do away with Unit, and the first episode of the new series is there's Unit.
It's Unit, yeah.
Oh, crash zoom there.
Yeah. Again, it starts off sort of very theatrical, but then it actually does liven up a bit. That is another good thing that they do in this story is they do bring in these sort of incidental characters that seem fairly fully formed,
Yeah,
and they don't really play a massive part in the story. I mean, Rubish plays a bigger part, but it's it seems like they put a lot of work into developing these characters that really sort of play a background part. Camera just peeked over the top of the set there.
don't spoil the magic.
It wasn't me that moved the camera. No, I think that's the thing that they should have done at the start was to put an establishing shot in of a castle or something.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Yeah, I think it's missed that. Because we really still don't know what Iron castle looks like.
I mean, you know, there are one or two castles in the British Isles they could have just used a picture of.
Yeah. And I've got to be honest with you, right? These wigs are horrendous. I don't know why they just didn't let the actors just have their own hair. I mean, look at the mullet on the guy behind.
It's strange. The BBC are normally spot on with things like that, but it looks like they just went down the pound shop and thought, yeah, they'll do.
And they're all bad, all of them. Even like Iron Grand's wig, it's not good.
She don't look right about fagging around. Cigarette for our American viewers.
Yeah, very different connotations there.
Yes, that's why I thought I'd better clarify. Don't want to get cancelled for using English, you know what I mean?
It's quite a nice outfit though, the Sontaran one.
Yeah.
The fact is, it's like a gunmetal.
Yes, also the world's first puffer jacket.
Hmm. See, like when it's lit like this, it looks terrible because it's just too flat. Everything's just banged on with light.
Yeah.
But then when you see it from like these other angles, and where they're shooting into corners like this, where the close one on the Sontaran, it looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, behind him there, they look like real bricks. But
Yeah,
the long shot, it does look like wallpaper.
and the thing is, they do spend time on. There's quite a few shots in this whereby they spend a long time on long shots, and it looks bad. Like they should stop doing it. Like I'm not going to spoil anything here, but there's going to be a fight scene later on with John Pertwee, and they linger on the wide shot, and it's like this looks terrible. Stop, cut in. You got an instant rapport, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you can see not to put too much criticism into this, but look at if you look at where the shadows are on the wall, you can see how flat the lights are. Like
Yeah.
the lights are literally over there, just banging the light into them this way, and it just kills it. It just kills the set. I mean, if I was going to be lighting that set there now, I would put a spotlight into that fireplace so that you get light being reflected back from the fireplace, and where all the torches are as well. So you're using a lot of bounce light off the walls. But it looks like the light is at least emitting from where you've got light or fire.
What's happening? John's got his gadgets.
Yes, Pertwee's props. It's his PKE meter. Instant reaction from a guy from Unit. It's a thing. Bang.
That box really is beaten up, isn't it?
It's knackered. It's. I mean, it's been 10 years being wheeled around. There he is, Jamie Bullock. Of course, Revenge of the Sith was the last Star Wars movie he was in. I think it's a pretty good looking location as well. So all the yard and everything, it looks good.
Yeah, I mean that's a location, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, I think they made a good choice for the actual, because most of the time they would just shoot at some rundown place, but they actually, by making it look like it's brand new, makes it look period specific. You know, it's because you wouldn't normally film at a rundown castle. The reveal. It's a potato, and that pretty much put the nail in the coffin of every Sontaran story ever since. They were no longer going to be taken as this badass warrior race. Now they were just going to be potato heads. I don't know if I would have taken the helmet off. I really don't know.
Judge Dredd syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, where do you want it? Because, like, literally, to me personally, no, they have made of like a figure of fun. I don't think people look at the Sontarans as an actual threat. Oh, but Jack, I'm about to start the next episode. We'll be starting the next episode of Doctor Who in 3, 2, 1, go. Doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo, doodle-doo-doo. Yeah, so where are you on the Sontarans?
I preferred the 70s Sontarans. The ones that were around with David Tennant, all that Sontar Ha rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, the makeup was superb on them, and I quite like Strax, but
Yeah.
Strax is played like a 70s Sontaran, so.
But again, they are played as a figure of fun now. You know, there's no real sort of severity to the Sontarans.
And they
Lucosa
should be
says,
very threatening.
yeah, it's just Lucosa says they didn't look that bad until we get to store. I mean, you know, look, it's like the makeups for the Sontarans in the Two Doctors. That's just a mask, you know. As is that, but I mean, I think the actor's trying to make it work. Yeah. He took it off just to show that he was a Sontaran and then put it back on again. I mean, it's good to show sort of Sarah Jane's vigor in this, and instantly straight out of the gate, like, you know, she's not.
Yeah.
She's not a victim at all. Buxom's a word that doesn't get used very often.
More's the pity.
I would have underlit these sets. I would have really underlit them.
It should be more dank than that, shouldn't it?
Yeah. It would have looked nice if they had let the light come in through that open window there, just bang some flat light in, and then lit all the fireplaces and the torches. I mean, you can see how many lights that are on just by looking at Lynx's helmet there. You can see like there's at least 10 lights bouncing and light everywhere.
Yeah.
The first iteration of RoboCop.
If that was true, I don't think Paul Verhoeven would have had anything to do with it. Wasn't totally convincing. I think I'd want at least half my money back.
It was okay for chopping up things on the table.
Yeah. Well done, Lynx. You made the world's first onion slicer.
Yeah. See, the way they've dressed, I mean, I'm assuming part of this is dressed and part of this is actually the location as it was.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things where they've got things growing on the roof and so on, and they do check down hay all around the place. No disintegrations. Now, did anybody else have the song by Brian Adams going through their head then?
No. Still number one, isn't it?
I think it was maybe last year. I rewatched Prince of Thieves, and that film did not age well.
It wasn't that good to start with.
I know, but it didn't age well.
If I ever want to watch the Robin Hood story, I watch Robin of Sherwood, and that's all I need.
I'm trying to think. What is the best Robin Hood one?
I just said it, Robin of Sherwood.
I mean, no, but I do like Maid Marian and a Merry Man.
Yeah, that's good. I'm pretty sure Robin Hood, and they got to have Errol Flynn in it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's the classic Robin Hoods, but man, they just don't make a good one. The one with Russell Crowe was terrible, and I was in that.
Was you?
Yeah. I like the little bits of hair that they got on the mask, like these little wispy. A bit of a wobbly wall there.
A few breeze blocks. Well, we can still use it like a prop.
Yeah. So I don't understand the logic of Lynx at this moment in time. He's gone into the future. He's brought back all this equipment and he's brought back all these people to work to fix his ship. Whereas, wouldn't it have been easier to have taken his ship into the future?
Well, unless he was stuck on the trajectory for this year and he couldn't change it. Don't know.
Well, no, because he's clearly able to go into the future to bring the equipment back.
Yeah. He's a good character, isn't he?
Yeah, I like Rubish. And again, he's one of those sort of supporting characters that they just really should have kept, or they should have brought back. Yeah, he gets shot in the head a lot. Well, I mean, if he keeps getting advanced weapons, he'll become Iron Man.
I was just wondering how June Brown's got time in between all her service washes at the laundrette to fit this in.
Of course, Iron Gron obviously famously goes on to make a bubbly drink, Iron Brew.
You know that picture of Patrick Stewart doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Well, if you want to make one more rubbish joke, we're both wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be his wife, Iron Maiden. Yeah. The Rootin' Tootins.
Oh, you're on a roll tonight. Unfortunately.
I genuinely, I don't know what I would do with the Sontarans. The first time Gallifrey is named, yes.
Yeah, that's true as well.
worth noting as well, Lynx's last name is Africa. After the night I've had, you can put up with it.
I'll tell you what. You were saying you didn't care about swearing. We should have got Luke Hoser on here with us. Then you'd heard all sorts of language. Then.
What? I mean, that's not the best prop they could have come up with. I'm telling them. That headway is absolutely atrocious. I suspect there will be plenty in the Star Wars video. I'm all for it. My God, they've given her a panel with buttons.
This could end up being a 12-parter.
Either that or you'll take the damn thing apart and put it back together. See, I told you Iron Man was in this. I mean, there's a joke to throw in.
I just sounded like Vivian from the Young Ones, then, didn't it?
Yeah. Now, this, and I can't really call it a fight scene, but this, they should have cut in. It just, why are you running like?
Well,
It's
they
like
kind
they're
of cut. They kind of cut away at the end of the episode.
Yes. I mean, just like they shouldn't have done that in wide. They just shouldn't have done it. It exposed the fact that there was plenty of room for him to get away.
Yeah.
And he just kept running through them. It was like they were, you know, it was more of a game than an actual bit of danger. What was that? He reckons it's gonna start soon. Zach, 3, 2, 1, up. BritBox Ting, presented by BBC, and diddly 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 diddly. Still very good. I think I would have stayed with that streaky tunnel for longer. I think
Yeah, that is good. That.
they go back to it, but I mean I know they're playing a lot with slit scan. Yeah, this of course is the very same technique that was used to make the Enterprise D go to warp in the Next Generation. This is how they did the stretch effect for the ship for the Enterprise D.
Yeah, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so exactly the same process. How they stretch that light is by opening the exposure and moving the camera. And so that's what they did the Enterprise D. They put a beam of light around the model, and opened up the lens, and then just stretched it. And that's how they got you got the stretch effect. I think the copy that Chris and me are watching is an edited version for the VHS release, which wasn't in episodic parts. Huh.
I think that's the only version of this, actually, because I'm pretty sure all the timings line up with what you've got.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they now showing the recap of the dance around the yard, with them swinging a bucket.
Don't know. I've got the Doctor talking to Sarah Jane now.
No, I'm not. He's running around the yard, and he's now down in the hay, and Iron Gron is now going. Who strikes Iron Gron dies, and then Jim Buck just fired the arrow. And now he's scarpering through a door, grabs a torch.
Right. Well, I've paused mine until you tell me you can see the professor again.
This. One sec. Up the steps. There you go. It's a capture. Let's get him out here. There you go. And now we're into the Lynx's lair.
I've got Rubish sharpening something at the moment.
Yeah, let's have a look here. Nah. Yeah, I got Ruby sharpening the lens. Yeah, I tried to see if it would let me screen share, but it won't.
I've just had Lynx say the Doctor is of great value to him.
The Doctor is great value, but he's logically dangerous. Is this Doctor a Longshank rascal?
Right, we're roughly around the same there because I paused mine.
I wish they would have had done a bit more dub work with this, just so that the stonework sounded like stonework and not boarded. I think for the most part, these sets look effective enough. I think it's just the lighting that's just killing them.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. It is the lighting that's letting them down there.
I mean, given how, like, you just saw the live action, the location sets, the location castle, and how that was lit, this is a completely different lighting. And they haven't tried matching the two. And it bounces you out, I think. See, that looks better.
Yeah, it does. They're being picked out against the background, which is as dim as it should be in a castle. Yeah. Well, there's only 4 lights this time.
Yeah.
Going by his helmet.
Well, they are being backlit as well.
Yeah.
And again, I would have pumped up the light on the curtain outside the window, just to have that bounce light come through the window instead. See, even that lighting looks better.
Well, it's making the stonework look more realistic anyway.
Yeah. The fact that you just said sulfur there just brings back memories of bogging out the science block in school.
What'd you do? Put electrodes in it and reverse the flow of the neutrons?
No, you just mixed it with magnesium and set fire to it, and then just stunk out the entire thing.
The best thing I ever saw in a chemistry lesson when I was at school, we used to have a teacher called Mr. Joseph. He was a great chemistry teacher, but you know, you got those dishes that are that sort of round, about that deep, and they're like 10 millimeter thick glass. Mm-hmm. He blew the side out of one of them for a lump of potassium because he thought it was sodium, and he threw the wrong soft metal in. It bang, blew this glass everywhere. Yeah.
We once well, we once made we were in detention, and one of the store doors would open on the our classroom door. We used to have the store door for where they kept all the chemicals, and because we were in detention, we were just messing about. And we took a free bent, you know the free Bentos pie tins.
Yep.
We took one of those and we filled it with thermite. We took it out the back and set fire to it. It was a 3 meter around. All the grass just gone. It was just gone. Because like with thermite like that, because it wasn't compressed, it was like sort of throwing it out as it was going up. So we just set it fire to everything around it. It was just, and it was super hot. The flame must have been 3 meters tall as well. It was like a mushroom cloud. I just want to intercut that with John Cleese. Fart in your general direction.
Nah, he's already got one. I think we should be making the most of this episode, considering what we got next week.
Oh yeah.
And the good thing,
we'll have fun with that next week anyway.
Yeah. And the fun thing is, I know for a fact that Luke Hozer's got a copy of it as well, so he's got to watch along.
They've never done a good dinosaur episode in Doctor Who. Which is a wonder, because they done Walking with the BBC done Walking with Dinosaurs, and that was great.
Yeah, that was good. I used to like old Nigel Marvin. Don't see many of his programs anymore.
No.
Oh, look how excited Luke Hoser is for next week.
Deep joy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Those wigs are just terrible. See, look how good his costume looks now.
Yeah.
Looks really good. And the same as Blood Axe, he's just covered in crap and... They got rid of the whiskers on his chin. And it exposes that seam around his lip.
Yeah. I mean, that really is a close shave, isn't it?
Yeah. You'll notice as well with this episode as well, the sound design has gone missing.
Yeah.
There's no nature sounds. There's no sounds from the outside. There's no people walking about sounds or anything. They've even dropped the echo sounds for being inside the stone castle.
Yeah, this medieval stuff is very much being done like a stage play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is not always a bad thing.
No, but I mean, like there's an attention to detail that's been dropped. That's all. See, the echo's back now for this.
Yeah.
It's inconsistent.
BBC does like a cunning plan.
That's what you're missing, Edmund Blackadder, is it? I like the fact that the Doctor's using his intelligence though with what he's working with the tools and things around him. He hasn't just sort of like tried to go into the TARDIS and just cook something up from something technological. He's working with sort of the period things that he can get his hands on.
See, now this set is pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not a bad set. It's just the way that they've shot it. They're shooting it pretty much from this angle all the time.
Yeah.
They only ever sort of the camera seems to move back and forth the set and doesn't really sort of go into it. I mean that's just a failure in direction. So it's not. I mean, this was directed by Alan Bromley, and this was probably one of the last things he did as well. So yeah, as a producer, he was. He did Nightmare in Eden. I think if you were to look at his rap sheet, if you look at his director's credits, I think you can kind of see the style. I think he was kind of slightly out of his depth in this one. Now, is that or is that not his original sonic screwdriver?
I mean, it could be.
Yeah, if you were to take a look at Alan Bromley's director credits, it pretty much reads what you'd expect it to read. Coronation Street, Crossroads, Emmerdale. It's not a person that's geared for sci-fi.
Well, to be fair, he hasn't done a terrible job here.
No, but it's flat. It's very much paint by numbers directing. You've seen a lot of multi-camera cut in. Shot in the head. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, the story is what's anchoring this show right now. The direction's pretty flat, so you're getting a lot of multi-camera shots whereby it's like cut, 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 and they're not even J cutting, whereby they wait for somebody to start the conversation and then cut to them. I mean, the editor's editing back and forth all the time. But there's no real interest in the camera work. I mean, there was one shot where it pushed in on June Brown, but it was really, she was talking at the time. It was just like, picking up on the person that was talking. So it wasn't really trying to do anything. It's very what you would expect for a soap opera director. I don't think it's not somebody that if they brought in somebody that had been working in sci-fi at the time or working in a bit more actiony director at the time, you'd have probably got a different cut to an episode.
I think the performances from all of the cast are selling it though. They really are going for it. I think that's a huge thing for this story.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if you look at this, it looks like it was filmed on a stage. Everything looks like it was filmed from that 180-degree position, like shooting into the set.
Have you started part 4 yet?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Yes, I've got John Pertwee on his back on the floor. I've got Rubish now picking up the bat. It is a weakness. Every species has its weakness. For instance, Probic Vent. Of your destruction of your female companion. I know he just collapsed. I think, are we in the same place?
Well, Thank you very much, Sarah. He's just said on my one now.
You too, Doctor.
All right, so I'm a few seconds behind. I'll just go on to faster mode.
You rubbish, you're invaluable.
Yep, we're there now.
Yeah, excellent. See, no, they're really laying on the echo. They can't make the mind up what they want to do. I would guess that they probably edited it all at the same time. I'm not sure you needed to put the helmet on for that, but there we are.
Well, you need the realistic into the helmet echo, don't you?
I mean, that's another thing as well. That when he was wearing the helmet, Lynx, they didn't actually overdub his voice. So I actually don't know what the Doctor's plan is here. Somebody's got to help me out with this because I've examined this a few times. I don't actually know what he's trying to do.
Well, I think the basic plan is they've called for Lynx, but they've knocked him out, so they're covering up for it. I think.
But, maybe. I genuinely, I just think that this was an excuse just to throw in another action scene. I mean, I don't know what the plan is. What is the plan?
Well,
What was the plan?
that plan there was not to get hit with crossbow bolts.
I get that, but I mean, a couple of steps towards the door first might have assisted in an escape. I think it's quite a good moment for Sarah Jane. Yeah. Now, Donald Pelmier plays Rubish,
He does indeed.
and it's such a fully formed performance. I think he's, as far as I can tell, 1924 he was born. He's still alive, apparently. That makes him what, 97? And the last thing he made was The Curse of Charlotte in 2018.
Blimey, so he's still going strong then.
Uh, yeah, he's still going strong. Yeah, Curse of Charlotte. Yeah. It was 2018, and Eddie 2017, Little Britain. Now, you might notice that there's been a complete lack of incidental music.
Yeah, well, Dudley Simpson's gone AWOL, has he?
Yeah, well, in a moment, you'll be forgiven for thinking that you can hear the Indiana Jones theme. It's only a couple of notes away. I think they could have been a bit stronger with the music. It's good for what you get.
So you're going to say innocent, like mine, Nick.
One of the shames here is Kevin Lindsey, who played Lynx. This is probably his final thing.
So really?
Yeah. Passed away in 1975. I think he does, what was it, the Sontaran experiment? Yeah, Sontaran experiment is his last one.
Does he play Lynx in that again? I can't remember.
Steyer. It's obviously he's playing just a clone version, but yeah. He's also been planting the spiders as well, so. Perry's props. Oh, David Dacre as well, as who plays Iron is a very familiar face on British TV as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Never done anything like massively stand out though. I think Time Bandits is probably the most popular thing he's been in. But he's just constantly on TV.
We played Kevin's dad, didn't he, in Time Bandits?
Yeah, I mean, probably his biggest accomplishment is probably Boone. Hi ho, Silver.
It's an interesting fact from Mr. Lucosa there.
He had a heart condition and found the costume in the Sontaran experiment tough to perform in. Instead of going with it, didn't you just stunt double in the fight scene? Ooh. That's, yeah. See, I think it's pretty good that they've got the antagonists against each other.
Yeah.
That it's not just the buddy because they're the bad guys. Yeah, I said this is like Play of the Week. Well, David Dacre actually was in the BBC Two Play of the Week. It's the Lynx effect. They never did a third Doctor toy with a kung fu grip.
They should have done.
Yeah. Squeeze the legs together and he just does that. That's a bit of a weird moment. I think I would have given Iron a little bit of something else to another way out. Yes, he escaped unfettered. I had to stick that in. I couldn't help myself. And I'll do it. Like, they're holding off on it too long.
That's building up tension. That's what that is.
The tension was already there. It was like, people were already fleeing. See, even Hal's costume looks a bit better now that it's all tatted up as well.
Yeah, and his doesn't look like a sloppy wig either. That looks like real 70s hair.
Yeah, that probably is his hair, yeah. And that's the end of that chapter. And there we are. The Time Warrior.
Not too bad at all.
Yes. It's a good story, but it is the story that holds it together. It's again the failures in the direction are the main problems with it. I think that they could go a little bit stronger with the sound and with the music, because the incidental music only ever pops up every now and again, and it's just like, where the hell have you been? You know, it kind of gets left out. It is filmed a little bit flat.
The lighting really does let it down in places.
Yeah, and that's a big problem. The costumes look better the further into the story it goes, because again, it seems like they were kind of clean off the rack, and then as they were wearing them throughout the production, they got grubbier and grubbier, and by the end of the third episode, or the start of the fourth, they look really good. Because particularly if you're going to strongly light something, in the way that they were doing it, the stronger you light something, the dirtier you've got to make it to make it have any sort of shape. You know, if you see anything that's going to be weathered, you'll see that it's actually, you'll see something and you think, oh, that looks fairly clean. But if you were to see it in person, it'd be like, Jesus, that's covered in crap. You know, particularly because they get bombed so hard with studio lights, and particularly back then as well. You know, you could see in the Lynx's helmet that there were 10 lights on, and that was just the front and top. You know, you couldn't see the backlights as well. So you're looking at about 13 to 15 lights, lighting the stage like that.
Doesn't matter how many times you say that, mate. I know as well as anyone there are only 4 lights.
But it's still, like, the story still stands strong. And like I said, I've compared this to, if I was comparing it to Robot of Sherwood, this wins hands down in almost every way.
By quite some distance.
But I mean, like, yeah, what did you think of this story?
I thought the story was excellent. The actual story itself, like you say, the Doctor's little subterfuge plan was a bit of a head scratcher. I could kind of get what he was doing, but it's the way, it wasn't very doctory the way he did it. No. But yeah, the story's pretty good. You know, you've got a Sontaran that's got stuck in the past, and there's no one there that can help him. So he's grabbing scientists from the 20th century that will have at least some basic understanding of computers and electronics, getting them back to help fix his ship so he can bugger off. It's a sound story.
I think I would have put a line in there though that actually did explain why he couldn't have traveled to the future. Just to have put a pin in that, you know, just to tighten that up a little bit. Yeah, I like the idea of abducting people through time. I wish that they'd have gone a little bit broader with when he was able to abduct people from, like they did a similar sort of thing with Time and the Rani, where they were abducting people. The Rani was abducting people through time, and it was like, you know, you'd have Albert Einstein as well as, you know, future. So it wasn't just all from one period where people have gone missing. I think I would have liked that to have been woven in instead. I know why they didn't do it, because obviously it's harder to explain in the story. As for a 4 episode though, I think this was right. I think that this couldn't go longer than 4.
No, it was you know, perfectly bookended. It started with the build up to the Middle Ages story, and it finished with the TARDIS dematerializing after 100 minutes, and that was perfect. There was no filler. There was no
No.
no padding, no fluffing out. I mean, it was constant story. Yeah, it's definitely a very strong script.
What to you was the standout moment of this?
Sarah Jane having a go at Angron when she first turns up was fantastic. That'd be the standout moment for me.
So again, and this is why I keep comparing it to Robot Show, but that does actually remind me of the scene where Clara's having it with the Sheriff of Nottingham. It's a very similar. This is such a very similar story. It even ends by shooting an arrow. But the reason why I think this is far superior is that at least this makes some sort of sense.
Yes.
The Doctor doesn't fight anybody with a spoon. He doesn't try to use a soft metal arrow to pierce a hard metal hull, which I don't know. The basics of just metallurgy should have told you that was never going to ever happen. And I know it's a fantasy show, but Jesus Christ, there's only so you can only bend people's disbelief so far. Whereas with this, it made sense, and the guy who was doing it was Hal, and I think I would have actually brought Hal into this story a little bit more, which I do think because I think Jeremy Bullock done a fairly convincing job of the work that he was given.
Yeah, I mean, he was a very Robin Hood-esque character, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think I would have liked to have seen more of that. I think I would have liked to have seen more of that character in the story as opposed to what we got with him. What do you think of the characters of Iron and Blood Axe?
Oh, just Shakespearean stage actors, but not using Shakespearean language, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was almost Pirates of Penzance.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Grom was over the top in his pompousness and his behaviour, and he's got a fairly dense sidekick, and why not give him a West Country accent, because that's what they do. Yeah, they were good. They were good characters. They were memorable characters.
I mean, I like the fact that I do like the fact that Iron Gron and Lynx were not buddy just because they were both bad guys, and I like the fact that there's this dual bad guy thing going on, even though they are sort of helping each other. They're also not at the same time.
Means to an end sort of thing, wasn't it?
It's more of it's a relationship. Because it's one of the things I really bloody hate about a lot of when they do like these villains for films, like when they don't do them for superhero films, you always have the villains team up. And it's like, why are you having this person team up with this person? They don't like each other. Don't do it. And in this, they didn't like each other. Lucosa says they're good pantomime villains.
Oh, no, they're not.
I mean, I like Iron Gron because he is an over the top. He's what is it? A big fish in a little pond. That's him. He's got his own little castle and his own little, but he's only got like 12 men. And it's very much he's got big boots on, but when he's faced with just somebody of superior intelligence, never mind superior force, it's problematic for him. What do you think of the character of Lynx?
Well,
because this is a character that is basically primarily Sontaran, casts the mold of a Sontaran then, and is primarily just trying to get back to his own platoon.
Yeah, well, I mean, to say he's archetypal Sontaran would be too obvious, because he, like you say, he's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's also a good character, and like you say, he's just trying to get back home by whatever means necessary.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that he doesn't care that he's altering the timeline of Earth. It's got absolutely. He couldn't give a
Yes.
flying one for it because he's gonna bugger off and he doesn't care. And
Yeah.
that is something they really did stick to with the Sontarans.
I think what I like with his character was that I wanted to see what you thought of it first because I wanted to see if we were sort of on a similar sort of wavelength. But I think one of the things I liked with him not caring about the timeline was the fact that he is a soldier.
Yeah,
So he is doing what is absolutely necessary for him to get back to the fight. And him not actually giving a toss as to what happens to, because as far as he's concerned, this planet doesn't mean anything.
yeah,
Throughout the script, he calls it insignificant. He says it's, it's a backward planet. It's has no strategic value. He's instantly dismissive right the way along of the people on the planet. In fact, he says, about how if Iron was king of the planet, it would bring him just great amusement. Um, so I like the fact that it's. I don't even think there's malice there. I think that with Lynx, I just think he just doesn't care. I don't think he's a villain really. I don't think he's the sort of the Darth Vader of this story. I think he's just indifferent.
yeah.
Um,
It's just a means to an end for him. That's literally it.
yeah, and I think that makes it good. I think that makes him good actually as a villain. Is the fact that he is. It draws questions as to why he's doing it, and he wants to get back to the fight, and they briefly touch on the war with the Rootins, um, but I think his motivations are that he is a fighter and he just wants the fight, and I don't think there's any sort of real deep moral questions being drawn in this episode. I don't think there's anything really that you can honestly point to and go, oh, okay, this story is about that. I think this was just an opportunity just to open up and have a good time.
The thing I also like about the Sontarans is they've never been an overdone villain. I know they had some silly episodes like
Hmm.
in the 80s, like the two doctors was fairly silly,
Yes.
but they've never been overdone. I mean, even in the new Who series, you had the one with the car sat navs going wrong and all the fumes and that. You had
Yeah.
that two-parter, and then apart from Strax, there hasn't been too much. They still haven't been overdone, which means when they do come back, it's like a welcome
Yeah.
return. Whereas when the Cybermen come back, it's like, oh, again.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, the Sontarans are coming back for the next series of Doctor Who for
Aren't
series
they? Aren't
13.
they? Aren't they supposed to be all female now or something?
I don't know. Given that Lynx said in that episode that they don't have a female species, um, I would be amazed if. No, I would not.
Well,
Actually, I wouldn't be amazed.
well, no,
Actually,
I wouldn't. I mean,
I think it would be perfectly in keeping with how things have gone. But I was
well, for
thinking to
nearly for
myself,
nearly 60 years, William Hartnell was the first Doctor. That's gone out the window. So I mean, why not?
but oh man, it just makes you what? It just makes you scratch your head. Um, I mean, I will say this though. I don't actually know what I would do with the Sontarans right now. I don't know where you would take it. I don't know what you would do with them that would make. Um, their appearance in the Invasion of Time was unnecessary. It was like they were added just to the story to make it. Oh yeah, yeah. I totally agree with that. Yeah, Invasion of Time was just like they were just there just to fill space. Um, yeah, that wasn't a great showing for him. But again, I don't know what I would do with them. What would you do with the Sontarans, Chris?
Um, Blimey.
I mean, I think it's the reason why I'm struggling with it is because so far they've been made a figure of fun. They are these soldiers which they could use for war, but I don't really, aside from an invasion story which we don't really need to see. I mean, I don't know what you would do. Like maybe there's a story there to have soldiers with no war, kind of thing. Whereby, what do you do with soldiers that have no war to fight? I mean, maybe that's
Uh,
something, but I'm
I
struggling
mean,
with
you could
what
do
you want.
I don't know, a Doctor Light story, kind of along the lines of Enemy Mine, where a Ruton and a Sontaran are stuck on a planet and they have to work together to get off of it. But I mean, if you was going to do like a lone Sontaran comes to Earth again and he's got to do this, then you're drawing parallels with Dalek and
Yeah,
various other different stories where it's been done to death. Um,
I,
yeah,
I, I'm really not a fan of those types of stories anyway. In huge respect, just because I think that
they've been done to death
yeah,
for
yeah.
starters.
I mean that's really it, and I think that you know we we've seen a sort of a Steven Spielberg version of this called E.T., and I think that it's inspired a lot. But if you're gonna do like an invasion story, you really want to have an army. You really want to be able to see it. You really want scale for invasion, not those six over there. Um, that's really what I think what you want. But I mean, I don't know what you could do with the Sontarans because essentially they're sort of fascist, but they kind of aren't really morally obtuse when it comes to. I mean, there's an honor system there with how they fight and how they declare war. Um, I was like, yeah. How about instead of a new Sontaran story, we get a new Rutan story with Sontarans having minor appearances? I mean, yeah, you could do a Rutan story because you don't really see it, but it still leaves us wondering what the hell you would do with the Sontarans. That's my thing is because I'm trying to look at it from how you would handle a military that's geared for fighting and separate them from being like the Daleks or separate them from being just like the Cybermen or what unique thing could you do with the Sontarans that you couldn't do with these other aliens? I mean, are they just now stuck in the position whereby, oh, when they show up, let's just have a laugh because it's the Sontarans? I mean, I don't really know where they can go. I mean, how do you tell a story? Let's say that you wanted to tell a serious Sontaran story. What would that look like? I mean, what sort of thing do you do?
I mean, I suppose you could. I mean, there's another story that's been done to death, but I mean, you could have a Sontaran that's gone rogue and doesn't want to fight in the war and is seeking sanctuary, bring in unit.
I mean, yeah, no, I like the idea. I mean, they kind of did it a little bit with Strax, whereby they punished him because I made him a nurse. Um, uh, that kind of, I don't know. Um, it's really it's a trick because, like I said, how do you separate the Sontarans from repeating other aliens, repeating other villains? Because do you really want to cast the Sontarans as villains in the first place, given that they are like yes, you can imagine that a Sontaran invasion fleet would be something quite bad, but they don't really seem to be conquerors.
No, they are the epitome of just following orders.
Yes, I mean, so where would you see that story going, if anywhere?
Well,
How?
there's not a lot of room to move on it, really, is there? Like I say, other than doing like a deserter or something, any story you do is going to be like any Dalek story, any Cyberman story. It's just that way now.
I I'm wondering. I think I've got an idea.
Well, I
I
can't see a
think
light bulb above your head.
there's one right there.
There's a Dalek.
um, I'm wondering if you could do a story whereby a platoon of Sontarans have actually gone rogue themselves because the gene pool is breaking down due to overcloning. I'm wondering whether or not there's something there.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. They kind of done that in Stargate with the Asgards, where they're
Possibly.
thing like that. So
Yeah, it's just the fact that they've mined the cloning abilities and now the DNA is starting to corrupt. I'm wondering whether or not you could do something like with that.
well, you could do, and that could also lead into what I was saying about them, going rogue because
Yeah,
their DNA's cocked up.
that might be an interesting one. There might be something in there actually. I think that might be a story worth actually exploring. But I mean,
There you go. That is proof now that our very professional outfit writers' room we've got going on here is better than the one they've got on the BBC.
well, at least we're banging about ideas that don't breach what we currently know about the species.
Yeah.
I think that might actually work pretty well. Actually, is to have a genetic meltdown. But yeah, I mean, again, you can see. I think you can see sort of the parallels that this draws with, as I said, Robot of Sherwood, and why this is a superior version, even though it's not. I nearly said it's not directed as well, but I think Robot of Sherwood is crap. And I think that the direction in that is crap as well.
I think you've done really well just to stick to the word crap there, to be honest.
Well, again, I mean, I don't get it because like you've got Peter Capaldi in Robert of Sherwood with Clara, and it's a very similar relationship, and it's very similar vibe that you get with Clara and the Doctor and Sarah Jane and the Doctor in a very similar setting, in a very similar thing whereby you've got an alien, you've got this thing that's handing out weapons, you've got the robot, you've got all this stuff. And it's going to get away and it's going to blow up the castle when it go, and you got all this nonsense. It's a rehash of this clearly to the point whereby even the last action is firing an arrow. Except that this one actually made sense because you shot the arrow into the Sontaran, not bloody trying to fire a gold arrow into a bloody engine of a spaceship. I don't know how damaging the engine of a spaceship is supposed to make it go faster.
Well, you know the biggest difference between the two episodes, didn't you? This one had a plot.
Oh man, it's just the stupidness that they put into it. I like
that episode. Robot of Sherwood was literally a load of set pieces jumped together with a rubbish story. They basically, I think they ran out of ideas. They had an idea to do Sherwood Forest, and they basically come up with some set piece ideas that they wanted to do, and then they just quickly papered over the cracks with some story. Except it didn't work. I mean, that was one of the worst. I mean, I was literally in pain for Peter Capaldi watching that. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that to an actor like him?
Yeah, and again, the spoon fight was just like, why a spoon? What the hell? How can this be so frivolous? How can this be? It's like watching an episode of the Flintstones or something, whereby he's just going to pull something crap out of his.
That, my friend, is an insult to the Flintstones.
I know. I didn't mean to do that. But it's just like there's so many things. Because again, the actual speech that Clara gives with the Sheriff of Nottingham, her performance in that was absolutely brilliant. I will say that scene with those two together was absolutely magnificent. The rest around it was absolutely tripe. It was just gobbledygook, and it was again it just lacked effort. It felt like this episode had gone through some sort of rinse and repeat kind of thing, but it was chopped up, crushed, put back together, and then just dumped on your lap.
Well, I think the trouble they have with the Sheriff of Nottingham there is, and as much as I like Nicholas Grace in Robin of Sherwood, it's not Alan Rickman, is it? And I mean, regardless of what you think of Prince of Thieves,
Yeah.
Alan Rickman nicked that and ran away with it like he did in
Oh.
most of the things he was in.
The whole bit where he goes off on that rant, and he's just like saying everything, and then he finishes it with a hand. Cancel Christmas. And I was like, you didn't have to put that. He was hammering it and playing it in the back row, big time in that. But yeah, I mean, it just feels like, I mean, not to stay too much on Robert of Sherwood here, but I even felt like the location choice in this was better. Because in Robert of Sherwood, I think they filmed at Caerphilly Castle, which they'd already filmed several episodes at previously. Rebel Flesh had been filmed there, and a few other episodes had been filmed there, and it just felt like because it was shot at Caerphilly Castle. Caerphilly Castle is a pretty well preserved castle, but it's no means pristine. It's a great place to go, but it looks like it needs somebody to point up the cement a bit.
Just to answer Lucosa before we get too far off it, he says he's not seen Robot of Sherwood. He's getting the impression that he's really not missing much. I'll tell you what, mate, it's worth watching just to go, what the hell were they thinking?
Oh, it's kind of like they were trying to cross. It's kind of like they were crossing Doctor Who with Men in Tights.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's where it
and they failed on both.
Yeah, like they couldn't get Mel Brooks to direct it. It was Robot of Sherwood is it's a ludicrous episode, ludicrous. And again, the bit I can't get past is the solution to the end of the episode is that he has to fire a gold arrow into the rocket's engines to make it work. And it's just the fact that this arrow goes shooting up and just digs in the side of the ship. Like, what? How?
Deep breath, count to 10.
How can a soft metal penetrate a hard metal? In what? I accept that it's fantasy, but no.
I'm just enjoying the rant. Do continue.
No, because this brings me to other things that made me realize where Doctor Who was starting to slip. Where it was, it was stuff like this, whereby these so simple, obvious, scientific principles were being just ignored. And then it again, we're talking about the same sort of season then where you end up with Kill the Moon, where suddenly it turns out that the moon, which we know to be a solid body that we've been to, that we've carried out a scientific examination of, turns out it's an egg. But we already know that it's bloody well not. And
the worst part about that, right, before we get off of it, the worst part about that, not only did it turn out the moon was an egg, when it hatched, the hatchling laid another egg, which looked exactly to the pixel like the one that was there before it, with the same craters and everything.
But no, because I think the other thing that really pissed me off with that was the fact that it had just buggered up all previous Doctor Who's that had been set on the moon. And like the Patrick Troughton episode, the moon base. It's a whole thing whereby the Doctor's been there before. He knows it's a planetary body. They just totally chucked out scientific principles, science. I mean, had this been set on a different planet, this would have worked. And I thought Kill the Moon had a pretty good. I think Kill the Moon had a pretty good story up until they discovered it was an egg.
Yeah.
I thought the idea of the moon being
black creatures were good. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. I thought the whole point of that was brilliant. I thought, maybe it's called Kill the Moon because actually it's infected by these parasites and they need to kill the moon before it gets to Earth. And I thought, this is fantastic. And it gets up, and then it's no. Because I thought it was Doctor Who that was going to go towards doing something like Starship Troopers. Then that's I thought that was the sort of direction they were going in, and it turns out no, it was just crap. And the same thing with Robert Sherwood. It was just like, no, why do this? Why even go there? Like if you can't come up with a good solution for it, just blow the bloody thing up. So yeah, what was the ship made of magnesium or something? No, actually, it was made of a hardened, toughened exterior for a spaceship that it could withstand high pressures and the heat of re-entry. But apparently, a gold arrow could penetrate it. So yeah, it was crap, crap with a capital. Oh, I nearly swore. In it was so bad. And I think again, it's a rehash of this story, pretty much. Or you can draw parallels to the things that happen in this story and the things that happen in that story. The difference is that in Time Warrior, the things that happen in Time Warrior tend to fall through some sort of logic thread, whereas in Robot Sherwood, it just kind of happens. You know, I mean, the logic that, again, there are things in this that don't make sense, but I can overlook. Like I said, I don't understand why Lynx doesn't just transport into the future. He's already going there to pick stuff up. You may as well just take the ship there and just live there. So that's something I don't fully understand, but I can overlook it. It's a small little plot oversight that I can overlook. Why the Doctor decides to do what he does when he dresses up as the robot and doesn't actually make a proper escape when he has the opportunity to. Because like he's literally standing in the room and it's like, well, I wouldn't lift up my helmet if I were you. Might give you a bit of a shock. I was like, well, actually, Doctor, you could have backed away here. Just moved yourself a little bit closer to the exit, you know? But I think, I mean, the highlight of this is actually seeing Elizabeth Sladen just laying it into a performance. I thought she was brilliant in this.
Yeah, she was.
Again, though we talk about the actors in this, there's not really a bad performance in this, is there?
No. I mean, some of them, like David Dacre,
Yeah,
and John Carney's portrayal of Blood X, they are a little bit over the top, but they're stage over the top. They're not mega hammed up or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They are doing. Again, he had done. David Dacre had done Player of the Week, so he was used to sort of. And you're going to hire stage actors to play a part. They are going to project, and it's going to be larger movements. I think it was probably James Masters when he was talking about because he had come from stage, and he was talking about working on Buffy with Anthony Stewart Head, and he was saying he was coming into it as this big stage actor that had been hired to play Spike and Buffy, and he was being as theatrical. He said it was when he was watching Anthony Head perform, was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's not doing anything. Like, what's he doing? And when he was seeing it back on the screen, then he was realizing how much work Anthony Head was doing in that space. He wasn't doing this on the screen. He wasn't. He was literally being still and giving his performance down the lens, and it's a very different thing. It's a much more difficult thing to be able to do. I mean, the difference in how somebody performs for a stage performance to a film performance is vastly different. And to give you some idea as to how to really sort of look at it, Jim Carrey is a stage performer. Jim Carrey is a stand-up comedian that is always the extreme. Even when he's doing serious performances, he is always that little too much. He always puts in that extra expressionism, extra energy, I guess. Whereas somebody like, and it's not just him. I mean, somebody like Michael Keaton has the same sort of thing as well. But Michael Keaton's a bit more reserved now, whereas he used to be very sort of like as if you strung out on caffeine. But I think like if you look at more of a screen performance, well, I mean, you mentioned Alan Rickman. He's got stage performance, but he's a bit more reserved. I would say one of the best screen performances. Keanu Reeves is very good. Keanu Reeves is a very good screen performer.
Well, not if he's doing an English accent, though.
No, but
No, because he went to the Dick Van Dyke School to learn that one, didn't he?
Yeah. But yeah, I would have said there are some that are really 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 solid screen performers.
I'll tell you what I like about Keanu Reeves. Well,
Yeah.
as soon as you mentioned him, it's how versatile he is. He can go from playing someone stupid like he was in Bill and Ted,
Yeah,
to someone deadly serious like he was in the first Matrix film and in John Wick. And he's a very versatile actor. He doesn't tend to just play Keanu Reeves. So give him credit for that.
I think his breakout performance was Speed.
Yeah.
I mean that was breakout performance. I wish he would do a villain. I would like to see Keanu Reeves as a bad guy.
No one will believe it.
I know, but I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him do it. He's never. I can't think he's ever been a villain in anything. I mean, he played obviously Evil Ted.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. That's about all he's done is Evil Ted.
But I think I would like to see him as a villain. I'm trying to think of a really good. I mean, Gary Oldman. Jesus Christ, Gary Oldman's a good, solid screen performer.
Yeah. See, he's another one. He can do good and bad.
Yeah, my word, he can do it. You could put Gary Oldman in a film populated by nothing but other Gary Oldman characters. Yeah, and you'd know them all separately. But yeah, so you get a lot of good theatrical performances like you got in this. Again, David Dacre is a good theatrical performer. Yeah, it is over the top, but it's over the top in that theatrical fashion. So the big failure for this, really, honestly, is the director. It's a soap opera style direction that you can see the style. You can just instantly see it with almost any. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a fast-paced direction because when you deal with soap operas, you are using a multi-camera setup. So you pretty much once you've done something in like 3 takes, you can move on because you've pretty much got every camera shot that you want because you're just going to mix it up in the edit. So you'll have A, B, C, and D cameras. You'll have all the shots. They'll do 3 takes like that, and then you go right then. Let's edit A to B to C to D, and just jump around just to make it interesting. But the cameras don't do anything interesting in this. There's no shot whereby it's like, oh, okay, they've gone Dutch with the lens here, or they've decided to put a particular lens type on the camera to bow the picture or to go wide angle. It's just everything's just feels flat and locked off. I think we get maybe 2 or 3 camera movements, but really it feels more like the camera's just finding the actor as opposed to it moving for a reason. I don't think we get absolutely any handheld in this at all.
There wasn't much in the way of dolly shots either, was there?
No, but that's what I mean. And everything felt linear. Everything felt like you were looking at the stage like that, and the camera would move up and down that stage, but it would never go in or move around inside that space. It was just very much sort of it felt like you were looking through the window at this stage play, and you couldn't go in through the window, and you never got taken in. It again, that's how that's how they were shooting soap operas back then. They still shoot a lot of soap operas like that now, whereby everything's on multi-camera, but it never crosses the 180-degree plane. It's a very fast way of shooting. It's just not very interesting. And again, they were banging light into those sets. That was probably the worst thing. Was that they were hitting, the light was hitting. Like, I've got a strong light up here, which is hitting me, but at least my shadows come in sort of down here. It's not up here, And
Yeah, let's not talk about strong lights at the moment.
but I'm shooting into a corner as well, so I'm still, I'm not being flat on here. We're still trying to not be sort of boring with how the viewfinder is. Whereas with this episode, man, there's so much they could have done. There's so much that they could have done. Maybe they felt they were limited. I don't know, but they had a great location. They had a good team of people. They had a decent size. I mean, they didn't have the most amount of extras I've seen. I think maybe they had 18 at one point, where they were doing the storm in the castle scene. But even then, by having them all bunched together in a group, it exposed the fact that they only had that amount of extras. Whereas had they spaced them out a bit, and it's just sort of gone to fill the space a little bit more, they anytime you do a crowd shot, you really should be populating more people further into the field than they are close to the camera, because you don't need them, because the camera can't see outside this field of view. That's where you need the people. You can have one or two close to the lens, but really, the further away from the center of the lens you get, the more people that you need in the background. And this just felt like they were all clumped together. So this is a failure in direction, more than anything else. The story, though, is still solid, holds it together.
Yeah.
The performances are solid. I think the musical score, such as it was did nothing offensive. It wasn't.
No, it was very understated. In fact, if you hadn't pointed out that bit that sounded a bit like the Indiana Jones suite, I probably wouldn't have even noticed there was any music. It was that understated again.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it's. But I like it like that. I don't like.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, you use the music for where you want the music to sort of zhuzh up the scene. You don't really want it to be there all the time, because I think that's one of the problems you get with quite a few modern American dramas, is the fact that it's written from start to finish. You got a musical score that starts when the credits end, and then keeps going right until the end credits come in.
Yeah, and, I mean, it was nothing like the original music score to like Ambassadors of Death, with its harpsichord fairground music, which when you're looking at a spaceship going down the road in a lorry, that's not harpsichord fairground music at all.
I think that this sort of, it was there when we needed it to be there. Action scenes, dramatic scenes, heroic moments. Again, the bit whereby they capture Sarah Jane and they take it into the castle. The bit where the Sontaran takes his helmet off at that cliffhanger, which is still a bit weird. I know why they did it. It was just like, I'm going to take this helmet off to reveal I'm a Sontaran, and now I'm putting it back on again. It was just a bit odd. That's all. So there's lots of pluses along the board for this episode.
I already know what I'm giving it.
I want to give it a high score. I want to give it a reasonably high score. I don't know how high yet. I'll work it out. I'll do the math on it. But like the wigs, oh Jesus Christ! Some of those wigs were absolutely atrocious. I don't even know what to say about those. But the sets were good. The sets were good. They were just killed by again the director. The director was lighting this like he was lighting anything else, and it just totally killed the sets.
The thing is, when they were on the long shot, when they had the table in front of them,
Mm-hmm.
it looked like the walls had just been painted. But when they were losing angular shots into like the darkened corners, that brickwork looked real.
It looked good. Yeah, it looked
It
good.
looked
Yeah,
really good.
I
So
know.
yeah, no, I am going to give it a fairly high mark. I know I already know what I'm giving it, but I'll let you ponder on it a bit more if you want.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I want to say is that the sound design in this was shocking. The sound design in this could have been, because there were times whereby it was on point, and then you go to the next scene and it was just like, oh no, they've forgotten this. They've forgotten this already. So it was just like, and the giveaways were things like people walking down the steps or opening and closing the doors, and it was just like, man, why did you forget that? It's supposed to sound like stuff. Yeah, it wouldn't have been too hard to get a tape recorder, take a pair of cobble shoes outside, and just tap it onto a bloody flagstone, just to get some sounds. And instead, they left all the sound in, all the original mix, and it just sounded like a stage. It just literally sounded like a stage. That's where I think that's whereby you notice the missing parts of Dudley Simpson's score is when you can hear everything, and you don't want to, you don't need to. I know that they didn't want to have to overdub, all the actors, so they're using a couple of boom mics and just uh, leaving the sound in. They were capturing pretty much. I would have said out of this, I would have said this was 100% captured on sound. It was all original sound mix, which to me I think was a big bit of a mistake. So there you go. Anyway, what are you going to give this, Chris?
I'm going to agree with exactly what Luke Oza said there. The great story, characters and performances mean I can overlook the bad stuff. I'll give this 8 out of 10. That's pretty much along the lines what I was going to say. I think the performances and the story give this probably a higher mark than the direction deserves, but I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 as well. I really, really enjoyed the story on that.
I mean, that's an interesting point. I mean, the failure is in the director on this. Again, it's totally the wrong person to be directing a science fiction. Right, I've got to take a point off for the sound design. I've definitely got to take a point off for the direction. I wish some of the effect shots were done with a little bit more attention. Even though because there were so few, I think that we talking 6 effect shots, maybe. And I think it could have used a tighter edit, so I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think that's still in the upper echelon of I had a good time watching this.
Yes.
It's not. I'm not trying to pan it. I'm just trying to be realistic as to where I think this could, because the edits could have been tightened up. The bits whereby people were pulling out swords and Lynx was shooting them, and they were just like pulling out and just standing there holding there, waiting for the edit. While it was getting blown out of their hands, or even the bit at the end whereby they're running away from the castle and it's just locked off on that shot of the castle and nothing's happening. Absolutely nothing is happening on screen for a good 10 seconds. And it's just like, geez, edit it. Just show people running. I don't care. Just show people, and it could be random people just running out through the doors and whatnot. Just you're building the tension. Go for it. Keep it going. When you're in a situation like that, you don't want to slow the momentum. You want to build the momentum. You want to make it more like, have people tripping over each other, pushing each other out the way to get out. Have this sort of level of panic. It just those sorts of things. Just I give it a 7.5 because it is a good score and it is well performed. It's got good sound. It's got mainly pluses all over the place. Good. Again, it's sort of almost a non-villain. We'd have to call him an antagonist as opposed to a villain in Lynx. And Iron Gron is just this sort of selfish, petty individual. So it's a Doctor Who that it has time, it has robots, it has medieval, it has new companions.
Well,
It's
7.5 is not a bad score by any
it's
stretch.
not, no. Oh no, I'm not trying to justify it. I think I'm hitting. I'm happy with the score that I've given it. I'm just looking at the ensemble. But again, the camera work wasn't great. So at some points they were shooting over the top of the set. Anytime you can see that there's no ceiling there, it's something that somebody should have pulled them up on. But again, it felt like they were shooting fast and loose with this. Anyway, next week we are doing a notorious episode of Doctor Who, an infamous episode of Doctor Who. Chris, we're doing Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
See, now I've never seen it all the way through, but I've seen plenty of clips. See, now if there was if ever there was a day you was in the mood for swearing, that would be the day to invite Luke Kozer on for that one. I've made sure he's got one to watch, so he's going to be joining in with us. And if he don't,
Cool.
I'll never let him hear the end of it.
I mean, we're at a point whereby Doctor Who has been kind of resting on its laurels for the past season. It opened up this season with a banger because it has to, I guess. It's kind of falling back on its habits, I guess. I can't begin to say how thrilled I was to get a copy of that. It's a 6-parter as well.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Again, they've never done a good dinosaur episode. I don't understand why. Even Dinosaurs in the Spaceship wasn't good, and it was just like, I don't understand why it's such a hard thing to struggle with. Just do a Doctor Who episode set in the period of the dinosaurs. You don't have to sci-fi it up. You don't have to do it. Just have the TARDIS stuck there for whatever reason. You don't need to make it any harder than Jurassic Park. It doesn't have to be any more difficult. Yeah. But then following that, though, we get the Monster of Peladon, which is the sequel story to Curse of Peladon.
Well, we get death to the Daleks first.
Yeah. We get death to the Daleks as a 4-parter again, and then of course we get the 6-parter Planet of Spiders. Not the best ending for the Third Doctor, if we be honest. But it's a roller coaster. It's ups and downs. Do you remember much of Planet of Spiders?
I have seen Planet of the Spiders. And didn't they base Turn Left kind of on the Planet of the Spiders? That's that's sort of like one of those rare occasions where they've used that as an influence and improved on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what they were looking at. It was a kind of a story whereby I think Planet of the Spiders can be a guilty pleasure. I think for some Doctor Who fans, whereby instead of it being something to just sort of like go, oh no, don't watch that, it's crap. I think that it's just got enough likable qualities to it, whereby you can actually sit down and watch it and go, oh, actually, do you know what? This is goofy and gooky and this is all over the place, but actually, I'm still having a bit of fun with it. Sorry, I'm just reading Lucosa's comment again. It's just what I remember the most about Planet of the Spiders is that the Great One makes the Daleks sound serene. Yeah, it's a bit shrill, isn't it? I mean, there's things that get brought back into this, and I'm glad to say that there are some things. This goes back to when we talk about how people used to write Doctor Who, and how sometimes you end up with fans that would write for the show. I mean, there are things that happen in Planet of the Spiders that don't get paid off until Stephen Moffat starts writing Doctor Who with the 11th Doctor. That's that's a loose thread. That is a big loose thread that gets wrapped up by the 11th Doctor, which is it's a nice little thing. Yeah, Monster of Peladon. It's kind of, again, it's very a circular storytelling to Curse of Peladon. But I think that it's a good sequel story. I think it's good because it's more about industrialization again versus, Luddites. I guess it's kind of like a good version of Mark and the Rani, if anything. Um, I don't think there's really anything I can say about that. Death of the Daleks again. We got that come in. It's not the best Dalek story. It's good, but I like it. That's pretty much it. Chris, any other things that you'd like to add while we here talking about Doctor Who?
Anything I'd like to add?
Yeah, anything you want to talk about, Doctor Who boys?
Don't know. It's been a bit quiet on the Doctor Who news front, isn't it?
Good.
Yeah,
good.
good.
Good. Genuinely good. Because I get sick of hearing bad stuff about Doctor Who all the time, and it's starting to annoy me now. I don't want to hear more stuff about it.
No, me either. I think that's another reason why I'm enjoying going back and watching the 70s stuff that I haven't seen all of. And, we're going to then go back and do some of the really early stuff that I haven't seen that much of. So,
oh man,
for me, this is great.
I really do think, like I've said before, I think you're in for a treat when we go back to Hartnell's era, because it's to give you an example, right? I went back and I'm a fan of watching like all the older stuff. I'm a big fan of the Buster Keaton era. I'm a big Buster Keaton fan, by the way. If you don't know, I've got like pretty much all his films, and it's just I just think he's amazing. And some of his films I've been watching on the anniversary, like for example, Neighbours, I think came out this year, 100 years ago. So I've been watching them sort of as they were coming out in the cinema 100 years ago, and I'm a big fan of those sorts of period things. And I went back and to give you an example of what I'm talking about, what I like with looking at the Hartnell era is that I went back and rewatched the Robert Lowry Batman from 1948, and it's so good to see it all stripped away back to its bare elements. Like, it's all there. The entire Batman story is there. It's just it hasn't been infected by fandom.
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing, because like with the Robert Lowry Batman, it's Bruce Wayne. He's a rich playboy. He's got a big house. He's got the Batcave. He's got all this stuff. He's got the Bat costume and everything. It's pretty much Batman as you would expect, but it lacks all the stuff that the fans have written into it. It lacks, like, in modern Batman, in the Batcave, he's got this big glass case, and he's got all the Bat computers and everything, and he's got this big glass case where he keeps the Bat costume. And in the Robert Lowry version, he keeps it in a wardrobe, because where else do you keep your clothes? And it's just not. It doesn't have all that stuff. Just all the crap the fans have put in there. Why is the Batmobile raising on this rising platform? It's not in there. Like, it's not in this show. And there's one of my favorite moments actually in the Robert Lowry Batman, which is this bit whereby, because the fans have kind of written in how important Bruce's secret is, how important his secret identity is, and how he would be destroyed if people found out that Bruce Wayne was Batman. And in the Robert Lowry one, I think it's about like episode 6 or 7, these criminals figure out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. and they locked in this room with him, and it's kind of like it's like, haha, what are you gonna do now? Now we know you're Batman. I was just like, I don't care. I'm still gonna kick the crap out of you. It's just like, oh, this is gonna be good. It's just a whole scene of him just throwing haymakers, just beating the shit out of these villains. Like it's good. It's good with that all the stuff that all the stuff that fans have put on it. You see it all stripped away, and when you go back to the Hartnell version of Doctor Who, that's all gone as well. There's none of that weight on this character, and it feels freer. I think. It's not as polished as you would expect it to be for later productions. I don't think it's bad in any way. I think it's actually. I think some of the things actually look better. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but you can actually see some of the on some of the DVDs. They've got things like the Aztecs on DVD, and they've got actual live full color photos taken on the set, and it looks amazing. It looks really, really good. And then but it's a shame that you only ever see it in black and white. But yeah, that's a shame. But I think that's what I enjoy about the Hartnell era of Doctor Who is the fact that it's it doesn't have all the weight of the canon sitting on his shoulders, you know.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, as much as you're a fan of Buster Keaton, I'm just a bigger fan of as Laurel and Hardy. I don't care if something's in black and white or not, as long as as long as it entertains me, I don't care.
But again, I just sort of I wanted to put that out there because again, it was just the fact that seeing how earlier fandom stuff was done, how again with the Robert Lowry Batman, and again with the Kirk Allen Superman and the George Reeves Superman, like I was chatting with my son about the new Superman and Lois TV show. I said, look, they haven't made a Superman TV show since George Reeves. They haven't. They've made versions whereby somebody's put their own spin on it. But if you want an actual Superman TV show, you're going to have to go back to the 1950s because they haven't done it. They've never made a Superman TV show. The closest they've got to a Superman TV show was probably Superboy from the 80s with John Ames Newton and Gerard Christopher.
What about the animated one from the 90s?
I mean, the animated one, yeah, that's what I mean. If you were to look at that and say, right, then this is a Superman show, but that's a Superman, that's just Superman cartoon. They've never made a Superman live action TV show, not since the 1950s. They did Lois and Clark. I love Lois and Clark. I think Lois and Clark is brilliant, but it's not a Superman show. It's a show about Lois and Clark. Clue is in the title. And this is now, Superman and Lois now is a show about Superman and Lois and their family, the super family. And it's not about Superman. Superman is kind of being sidelined, and it's the same when they done Smallville. Smallville was all about Clark Kent. It was all about him discovering his superpower, but it wasn't a Superman show. Yeah, we haven't got Superman whereby a villain will show up and Clark changes into Superman and goes fights the villain. We haven't got that. We haven't had that for 70 years. You're not going to get it either because they will keep sidetracking these characters as much as possible because somebody will come up with, we need to put a new spin on this. And most people don't want a new spin. Most people want what they fell in love with.
Yeah.
It's preposterous to me why. I mean, Luke Kozer's on about this when we watched the Star Wars video. That's the big failure of the Star Wars films for the sequels was the fact that what people wanted was Luke, Leia, and Han. That's what people wanted. That moment where the ensemble gets back together, where you've got Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2-D2 all together in the same place at the same time, and that's because that's what people fell in love with, and that's a massive failure. The fact that you don't give people that is an absolute crock. It's just nonsense. And again, this is I know there are people out there that love the Superman and Lois TV series, but it's not Superman. Don't kid yourselves. It's not the Superman show. It's everything else. You've missed all the good parts where he's fought Brainiac and so on. The whole bit whereby she learns who Superman is. That's all bypassed. They've skipped over that. And again, they do it so much now with so many things that they. I mean, they're how. I've tried saying this before, and again, I when Chandler was down visiting, he'd seen the. I don't know if you've seen it, but they done the. Some fan had done a version of the Michael Keaton Batman universe as a video game. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it. No.
You want to check it out? It's the '89 Batman, and he's done it as a video game, as a walk around, It's similar to the Arkham Asylum games, but it's all the set. He's recreated the Monarch Theatre. He's recreated the gallery, all the city. All the city is how the sets were. The Keaton Batcave, all the costume, everything. It's really, really good. He done it as a thing as to what they should do. And Chandler asked me, why do you think they haven't done a game like this before? Which is like, because Hollywood never gives people what they want. They never do. They like to subvert people's expectations and think that they're being clever. When actually the cleverest thing to do is to just do that. Like literally, people can guess that, but they don't care because they'll still buy it because that's what they want. But they don't do that. They'll always do. Oh well, this is very, very close to, but it's not the same as, and they do that all the time. Just look at the Terminator franchise. Jesus Christ.
There's only 2 films, isn't there?
There's only 2 Terminator movies. Yes.
Yes.
But there is a larger Terminator franchise which has films in it. But I mean, it's just I will make a stand up for the Sarah Connor Chronicles though. I thought that was a really good show, which again ended terribly. It just ended in the middle of a cliffhanger. Just like we never gonna know how this gets resolved. It's like the worst part. This is why you shouldn't do cliffhangers at the end of a season, because they literally cliffhangered the show and then it just never got picked up. 2 seasons and it was gone.
Yeah, I'm just about to witness that sort of thing myself. Me and the missus have just we're about 3 episodes into the second series of Stargate Universe, and that ends on a cliffhanger, and it was never resolved.
Yeah, I didn't get on with Stargate Universe.
I'm actually quite enjoying it. I think the thing that makes it for me is Robert Carlyle, because he's playing such a bastard and he's good.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know. There are certain times where I think, I think Stargate hit its pinnacle with SG-1 and Atlantis.
Yeah,
and I think that it just. There's a point whereby I think people have lost it with sci-fi, whereby they want to make sci-fi be this big dramatic thing, and people want to have fun, and there's a complete lack of fun, and I don't know if you've just seen it now, but they've just released the new trailer for the second season of Star Trek Picard, and it's just like I don't see it.
I'm only really tuned into that because I watched the first one and John DeLance is in it, and he's normally good value. So
yeah. The plot just, I don't know. It did. I mean, the strange thing is that somebody mentioned in one of the comments I was looking at, she said it doesn't look like Star Trek, and I was sitting back thinking about it, going, no, he's right. It doesn't look like Star Trek. It looks like somebody's made something and just slapped the Star Trek sticker on it. and it was just
Well,
like,
they've been doing that with Star Trek ever since the last episode of Enterprise finished, mate. I mean,
I know that, but I mean, I couldn't like actually pick the vibe because like you had Patrick Stewart there, and you had some of the sort of more Star Trek stuff there, but I couldn't actually put my finger on like you had this Star Trek scene. But the second they took him out of that scene, it was just like, oh, and now he's in California. I was like, ah, this is. And I know, like the show's not Star Trek; it's Picard. I get that it's this character and this character doing his own thing. But there's just a feel and a vibe and things. Just, I mean, like I can't stand Strange New Worlds. Like I've seen very little of Strange New Worlds in terms of the set photography and everything. But it's just like this is not Star Trek. That does not look like Pike's Bridge.
but my mate was telling me yesterday that they were doing an auction for Star Trek Day, and they've already started selling off the uniforms from Strange New Worlds. And they sold off one of McCoy's uniforms from, I don't know, Star Trek 4 or whatever, whichever film it was. And it was like it got $18,000 at auction. And they sold off one of the ones from Strange New Worlds and it got $300. I mean, that tells you everything, doesn't it?
But I mean, like, it boggles my mind, right? How when they done something like In a Mirror Darkly, how they could be so faithful to the original set. And they changed the light boxes out for screens for monitors, so that they were able to animate the L cars and everything on the bridge and have actual working, monitors. And it looked fab. It looked brilliant. It looked really, really good. And then I see like the set of what's supposed to be the Enterprise from Strange New Worlds, and it looks like a nightclub. And I'm just like, I don't get it. Everything's got lights. The door's got a fucking. Oh, sorry about that. But the door's got a light around it. Everything's got a light around it. The benches, the everything. It's just like, what are you doing?
Has it got your favourite holographic screens on it?
No, it doesn't have holographic screens on it, but it's everything's blue. Everything, every single button on the thing is blue. Or anything that looks remotely original series is way up there on the ceiling. All the screens have got these stupid sci-fi chamfers all over the place. And again, everything's got an edge light. Everything's got an edge light. It just look it and polished shiny surfaces everywhere. It just looks like a nightclub. I don't know, let's have a look, see if I can find a picture of it. Just so you can see. I find it laughable more than anything else. But it doesn't look anything like Pike's Bridge, I really didn't see a problem in having a bridge that looked like a communication center, which is what it's supposed to look like. I just find it it looks absurd. It looks like to me, it looks like an SNL sketch of a Star Trek show. It doesn't look like it doesn't look like a Star Trek show to me. It looks like, let me see if I can screen share this. There you go. I mean, it looks like a sitcom.
It does. I'll tell you what, I've got a picture to share with you while we're on this subject.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need those tips again. Thank you very much. When the Enterprise first showed up in Star Trek Discovery, it showed so much promise because it looked like that.
Yeah, the sexy prize. Yeah.
I mean that looks absolutely. When that turned up, I thought, oh, they're going to do this right. And then I saw that picture you showed. It's like, oh no, they're not.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it boggles my mind. Like I said, everything's got a bloody light around it. Like it just the door has got a light around it. The floor has got a light around it. the rail has a light around it. Captain's chair's got a light around it. What about this light? Well, that light has got 2 lights around it. Even the light is surrounded by lights. I mean, it's just it looks crap. It just and again these stupid screens with all these sci-fi chamfered corners everywhere. It looks like a comedy sketch. There's a bloody big spider in my room. You having to run around? Bugger off. Yeah, okay. Just run under my cupboard. But yeah, it's just it just doesn't look. I mean, there's the original Pike Bridge.
Yep.
And it looks it looks to me like the Pike Bridge. I mean, this is what I think people have totally got lost in their minds, is that this is what the style was supposed to look like for the 2260s. This is what it was supposed to be. This is how things are supposed to look. And to see that bridge there with all the screens and everything working with actual monitors like they did in The Mirror Darkly, it looks great. It looks fab. There's no need to make it look like this. Look, even the bloody controls have got lights around them. What the bloody hell, like?
I'll probably give the first episode a try, and then well, we'll see how it goes.
Like, I don't understand why they couldn't have been faithful to the sets, to the original sets, and just zhuzhed them up to I don't know why they've got to make this thing look like it's so bloody massive that you've got to shout to people because they're so far away. Like, the captain is sitting so far away from helm and navigation. All the stations are, like, I understand they want to make a bigger set, but it's absurdly big, and it just looks terrible. It's generic sci-fi. Somebody's designed a generic sci-fi set and just called it Star Trek. See, oh god, all this grid lines, everything's polished up and everything. We've got lights coming through everywhere. Oh look, he's gone to red alert.
They should have watched your modelling channel, mate. They'd have known how to light block stuff then, wouldn't they?
Oh man. That looks terrible to me. I can't tell lies. That doesn't even look good. Like, you can, without even calling it Star Trek, I think that looks terrible. Period. I don't think that looks good at all. Like, it's supposed to be a control center for a spaceship.
Yeah, that looks like a daycare center. Where's the soft play area?
Like, I don't get it. I don't understand this. I don't get it. Like, even look, all the steps got lights around them. The steps under the steps got lights around them. The bloody pit has a light around it.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have been the bridge, like the bridge from Discovery.
No, I think it's going with a similar sort of vibe. But doesn't this look like don't these people look like they like half scale or something?
Yeah, they look miles away.
Don't I? Like it's like as if they don't even fit the size of the set. Like, it looks like the set is too big for them. It's like somebody actually got the metrics wrong and built the set like a third bigger than it's supposed to be.
Well, they clearly had some sort of refit before Kirk took over.
Man, they had some sort of refit before the bloody Pike took over. And it boggles my mind why they would do a show like this, set it in the period that they've set it in, when you got 78-year gap between the end of Kirk's time and the start of the Next Generation. There's a whole 78 years to fill there, and then they chose this period here because nostalgia, I guess. I don't know. It's
I mean, if they'd have gone for something in between, they could have used sets that would have been very similar to the films. The Enterprise B and stuff like that.
I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, the Star Trek 6 set, the bridge set, is probably my favorite.
Yeah, it's good.
It's probably my favorite bridge set. But yeah, it's let me just come back here, just so you can see. Yeah. So yeah, because I said more lights than there was on the mothership in Close Encounters. Yeah. Again, it's just the fact that it's ridiculous. I don't even like the style of it. It's got these pointless sci-fi chamfers that they stick on everything. It's generic as hell. And it doesn't look like what Matt Jeffries intended the bridge to look like. Because, people say, they've built these sets out of modern materials. I will guarantee you, aside from the monitors, that bridge set is made out of exactly the same materials that the original was made out of. Exactly.
Right, let me just find a picture here a second. Right, to counter that. Right. Right, the picture I'm about to get up is an image of a bridge set that was built in the last 15 years. Hang on. I've got 3 screens to crawl across here to get back to the share screen button. There you go. I don't know why that's flashing like bloody hell. Oh. Yeah, we'll get rid of that. I'll tell you what, I'll find a different one. In fact, that one's even better because they're building it. And hopefully that won't be flashing. Right, we'll try that again. Right, that's better.
Oh, so yeah.
Right, that is the set from Star Trek Continues, the one that had the late great Grant Imahara as Sulu and Vic Mignogna as Kirk and that. They built that in the last 15 years. There is another one that's almost identical, which was used for Star Trek New Voyages, which is now part of the Star Trek tour in Tricongora in America, wherever it is.
Ticonderoga.
Yeah, which James Cooley, the Elvis singer and Captain Kirk actor, runs. Don't tell me they can't build these sets now when they've built that.
Yeah. And again, that's made out of modern materials as well, but it's no different to how the materials are that they used on Strange New Worlds and Discovery. It's exactly the same. They're all plywood sets made out of wood, and they might be skinned with fiberglass, but there's metal, wood, and there's metal, wood, and fiberglass. That's all it is. There's no difference whatsoever. I think the ones for New Voyages had TFT monitors for the LCARs, but aside from that, it's pretty much the same thing. And again, if you look at the
stop my one. There you go.
Yes, I want that. It's just look. I mean, if I go back to screen share, this is the bridge from In a Mirror Darkly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it looks good. It looks like what it should look like for the 2260s. That's what the 2260s style is like. It's kind of like they've built for Strange New Worlds is kind of like going right then. We need to do a show that's set around this 57 Cadillac. But we don't like what a 57 Cadillac looks like, so we made it look like a 2010 Lamborghini. Well, that's
Yeah.
all very well and good, but it doesn't look anything like a 57 Cadillac. This is the 57 Cadillac of Star Trek. This is what the bloody bridge should look like. That's what a 2260s. Just because you don't like the style of it, it's not on the bridge's fault. That's you.
Well,
You
yeah.
know?
If you don't like the style of that, don't make the sodding program. Get someone else to do it.
That's exactly my point. This is what the bridge should look like, and this is a faithful recreation of the bridge. Yeah, they've modernized the screen, so those aren't bits of paper with bloody star screens on, or those aren't blink boxes behind. Those are TFT monitors, so all those L cars can animate across the screen. But this is what it should look like. This is, they've made tweaks to this set, but they haven't bloody totally redesigned it and tried to sell you as the same bullshit. It's not. This is how you do it.
Do you remember in the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation with Scotty in it when he asks for the bridge of the Enterprise NCC 1701, no bloody A, B, C, or D, and he goes on there and Picard's on there with him, and it did not look out of place. All right, it was only 20 years old then, but it did not look out of place because it's what you knew. That was Star Trek.
But this is what I'm saying. This is the style of Star Trek. This is Star Trek. This is what it should look like because this is the style of the actual universe that they created. What they've done with Discovery now is gone, actually, no, we've done a visual reboot of this to make it look like Sequest DSV. So now you've got a show that looks like it's stuck in the bloody 90s. And I mean, it's just like, I don't know why you've done that because this was designed this way. Nothing looked like this back then, and nothing looks like this now. Like, this is its own, this is what the universe should look like. And the fact that they've decided, no, we don't like that. Well, tough luck. Tough. I don't care if you don't like that. This is what it is. And had they done it like this...
You look at that, you know straight away what it is.
Yeah. And to me, this is far more in keeping with Star Trek. Because if you're not going to do this, then jog on and do something else. Because, again, this looks like Star Trek. This is why Strange New Worlds looks like generic sci-fi. It's because it doesn't look like this. And, I can't explain it any other way, really. I just genuinely, when you see something like In a Mirror Darkly like this, I mean, there's a Constitution class. That to me is the Constitution class. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. There it is. I got nothing else to add. They've zhuzhed it up a little bit by adding, these little panels here and everywhere. They've added actual interiors to the inside of it. But this is it. This is what this Star Trek ship should look like because this is the Constitution class from the fleet. This is that period. This is that era. This is what it looks like. It's kind of like them going, oh no, you know what? We've decided to do this historical show, but we've decided that the armor knights used to wear, we didn't like that, so we've made them all look like bloody RoboCop. I mean, it's just nonsense. And I think it's disrespectful as well to the fact that to the people that have gone before and actually designed these things because they wanted these things to look this way.
Well, it is. You're absolutely right. It's like it'd be like if they made a film about the Wright brothers, but it's like, yeah, we didn't like that poxy plane they had, so they're getting a Harrier jump jet.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my point. But it's also you're dealing with something that is set in a particular period and is set in a particular time that is away from, I mean, you get some real nonsense arguments out there, like for example, they don't have communicators in the future now like they did in Kirk's time. our new communicators that they've got in Star Trek Discovery are much better because they've got like working screens and so on. I was like, I think your argument's flawed there because they're not using a bloody flip phone. It's a subspace radio that can communicate real time with Mars. That's technology we don't have. We still don't have that. That subspace radio can communicate live real time with something millions of miles away at 100% real time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like when someone says, you're watching the original Star Trek and Kirk flips his communicator open, and someone says, "Oh, that's just like a flip phone." No, a flip phone is just like that.
but again, the idea of this thing is that it's supposed to be able to communicate with something outside of radio. So you have no idea. Oh yeah, we can make phones that are smaller than this. Of course we can. But you can't make a subspace radio.
No,
you can't do it.
I can phone anywhere on Earth with my mobile phone. It's sitting here. I can phone anywhere on Earth with that. I can't phone the International Space Station unless they've got a phone number and a phone up there.
Yeah,
and that's about as far as I'm going to get. Yeah, and that's thanks to satellites.
Yeah, and you couldn't even phone the moon.
No.
I mean, it's just a nonsense. These people that don't understand the intricacies of the universe are trying to justify the crap designs for how they what they've decided. Oh no, we think this is better because we don't understand it, and that comes from people who aren't fans of the product, end up making the product. Sometimes that can be beneficial. Sometimes that can be beneficial because somebody will point out something and go, "Oh no, this needs to be changed." But you need people there who do understand it to be able to go, "That doesn't work because of that, but you've overthought this because this is why." And there's none of that there. Now we get. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a YouTube video called. I think it's called "Everything Wrong with Discovery." And it's called "Everything Wrong with Discovery," Part 1 of 299. It's a clever name for the video. But yeah, it's basically it goes into pointing. It literally takes a clip from Discovery and then goes back and totally disproves it by going to Voyager or going to the original series and or the Next Generation and going how this just doesn't marry up at all with the rest of the other series. So it's worth checking out. It's good fun. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for us. I think we're going to finish at. It's now midnight, so we're finishing at the same time. I know we started later.
It was only a 4-parter, so it's all right.
Yeah, but I mean, like I think maybe we'll do this next week as well because I'm getting just cheesed off with Skype. So I think we're doing all right with StreamYard. I think we'll drop back to this format. I think. So, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, it's your show, mate. You carry on.
Well, it's just the fact that you know what a nightmare it's been like. We have technical difficulties week in week out trying to sort, and it's one thing after the other.
I'll tell you what, I'm surprised I haven't had any tonight because this computer system. All right, it's the computer I've been using for a while, but I got a new graphics card for my gaming computer, so I put that in this. And I've done all this with wireless internet tonight, and I thought that was going to be an issue, but fortunately, it's worked.
Yeah, but I think I think we'll go back to this. I think it's it's working. Yeah, streaming has been working fine tonight. Good stuff as always. Thank you very much, Lucosa. And yeah, whenever you are ready to do the Star Wars video that you want to do, I'll be about to join in. I have plenty to contribute when it comes to Star Wars. I can assure you.
Well, I think we've got one music one we're doing next week, so it could be any time after that. It all depends how long it takes him to edit that one.
I mean, like to me, the difference between Star Wars, for me, in not to drag things out too long, so we can end up ending this, but like to me, there's 4 good Star Wars movies. there's four. It's A New Hope or Star Wars, if you prefer. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and Rogue One. And I think, aside from that, the others, I still like 1, 2, and 3, but I think I like 1, 2, and 3 just because they are trying to be different to the others. They're trying to tell an expanded story. And it's really difficult. You imagine having to write the first story so that it links to the fourth story, but you've got space for two other stories in between. That's almost an impossible task. How you write that first block without having the other two. So I appreciate the efforts of 1, 2, and 3, but I think to me the last really good Star Wars movie I saw was Rogue One. I didn't see Solo in the cinema. I was forced to see Solo by a friend of mine after he said, "Well, look, there's nothing on tonight. I've got it on Blu-ray. Do you fancy watching it?" And it was like, "No, I don't. I don't fancy watching it at all." He went, what if I bought food as well? I was like, oh, all right, okay. And he brought it up and we watched it. It was just like, yeah, this is crap. This is utter shit. And then because I think to me it was just like I was never, just to give you some background, I was never in a pissy position with Star Wars from with the sequels. I was actually excited for The Force Awakens, and I know like you get people out there that are like, oh no, you just hate this, you're just a hater. I was like, dude, what are you on about? I bought the tickets to Force Awakens 2 months before the film came out. On the day I went to see the film, I got my ass out of bed at 4:30 in the morning. I spent 3 hours in traffic just so I could go see this film. I did not do that so I could walk into that cinema and come out being pissed off. I did that because I wanted to go to see Star Wars and I wanted it to be great. It just wasn't. That's what happened. I'm not a hater. I don't hate Star Wars. I still went to see Rogue One. The only film I didn't want to see, I didn't see for 8 months, was The Rise of Skywalker. I didn't see that in the cinema. I didn't see it for 8 months. I only saw it because Chandler would come down and he was just like, oh well, maybe we should give it a look. And we give it a look, and it was just like that. Yep, this is shit. This is absolutely balls, and I haven't watched it since. I've watched it once in its entirety, and it was just like, yep, this is garbage. Well, Lucas says, I think there are two good Star Wars films. That's it. So, from my point of view, Star Wars has a track record on par with Police Academy. Oh, come on! City Under Siege was.
That's going to be a good video. That is when we make it.
I think so. I think so because I really did like Rogue One. I thought Rogue One, because it wasn't so focused on all the Jedi stuff and it was more focused on the actual rebellion. I felt like that it was getting back down to more of the nitty gritty of Star Wars. So I really did like Rogue One. I was just like, I can overlook bad Tarkin and bad Leia CG. But I felt it was so good that I was happy to sit there watching it going, they're all gonna die. This is great. This is, and they actually did kill him, and it was just like, yes, that's exactly what I wanted, and it was just like, this actually does work. This is the best working Star Wars movie since Empire Strikes Back, and they can't make a good one now because they don't have Dave Filoni in charge, and they won't get Dave Filoni in charge because he doesn't want to do it, because he's seen what they've done and he's seen how they work, and he's happy to make The Mandalorian, or he's happy to do the Clone Wars or Rebels, and I don't blame him because they're amazing. I don't know if you're a Clone Wars fan there, Chris.
I saw one of the Clone Wars films at the cinema. My boys when they were younger. So I have seen a fair bit of the Clone Wars. I've only seen the first sort of 10 minutes of The Mandalorian and the last 5 minutes of Series 2. But Mandalorian is one I'm going to look at.
So I mean, I think where they done well with The Mandalorian was the fact that they chose a theme. Like, for example, if you take Star Wars as being a Flash Gordon type serial, then Mandalorian's a spaghetti western.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
got that from the opening of it.
yeah, and I think that's what's good is that they've actually got a theme. You know, that's what this is. Like with Clone Wars is pretty much that whole series is pretty much sort of Platoon. You know, it's very much that sort of vibe. It's more about the clones, and it's more about, you know, there are Jedi's in it that show up from time to time, and there are some familiar ones. But I mean, like the same with Rebels as well. Rebels is a bit sort of. I mean, the first thing I thought when I started watching Rebels was that it was a bit sort of Disney Aladdin in space, but it wasn't. They quickly shifted that vibe, and they moved that out, so that actually changed a bit. But I mean, there's some brilliant, I mean, absolutely staggering episodes, like Twin Sons. Twin Sons is amazing. I mean, you get some really good stuff with. I mean, Asajj Ventress is a brilliant character. She's a Sith witch that turns her back on her masters. It's just what a great character. You know that you get a lot of really nice stuff that has nothing to do with the main saga. That just fills out this story and doesn't ruin it. That's the best part about it is that these things they fill out the storyline. They stay well within the parameters of what you already know, plus just adding more to the story. You know, it's really Dave Filoni does an amazing job of that. It's like he's got a light touch with it, and then gives you something and goes, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh, please, you know, and then you get something like he'll give you something like for Rebels, you know, Rebels is set before Episode 4, which is why in Rogue One the spaceship, the Ghost, shows up as one of the fleets, and it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. But you know, in that series, because it's set at that time, there's an episode whereby they're going to give you Darth Vader. Screw it, they're going to just do a story with Darth Vader in it. And it's like, oh, this is good. This is good. But anyway, I think that's it. I think we're done. I think we can leave that there. Chris, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome, mate.
Lucosa, thank you for joining us. And next week we are going to be doing the one with the dinosaurs. So yeah, take care. Have a good one, and we shall see you next week.
See you later. I'll just sit here and watch that then. Thank you.